So this fuel cell came in the mail. It's got -10 outlets at the bottom of a little 6" by 2" sump at the bottom of it here. And then I've got my fuel fill here, got level sending here, return and vent. And it's got some mounting tabs. And I've got a couple of solutions on how to mount it. I need to figure out exactly where I want to put it in the car. So I'm going to do some test fittings and mock-ups to see what position is going to work best. Ideally, I'd like to avoid trying to build some crazy huge firewall thing. I'd like to keep it as simple as possible, because the less time I involve with crazy fabrication, the more time I have towards getting the car closer to where I want it to be. I also got all this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this sound deadening up today or this adhesive, because it's pretty cold out. There's supposed to be a cold front coming in, and the colder this stuff gets, the harder it is to get off. Maybe try a heat gun and a scraper. Maybe give it a shot and see what happens. If you're enjoying the build so far, make sure you hit the like button. It definitely lets YouTube know that I'm doing something right, and it helps the channel grow, and it doesn't cost anything. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I've been posting videos like 3 or 4 times a week, right around like 8 o'clock at night. So I think I'm gonna make like the new schedule. It was gonna be like 8 o'clock at night. I was just gonna say 8 o'clock, Ghostbuster reference. But yeah, make sure that you set your notifications to all, that way you don't miss it. But if you don't get them, just tune in at 8 o'clock, search for the channel. I'm sure there'll be a new video 3 or 4 times a week. I've caught my shirt on these edges so many times. It's honestly a safety hazard. I need to deburr these edges until I get the Rock Solid Motorsports tube front. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock these edges down and make it a little bit more safer around here for the t-shirts. So the plan is to somehow cut some slots here and here and here and here to let the tabs from the tank or the fuel cell, or whatever you want to call it, go in this way and this way, you know what I'm saying? And then I can bolt here and here, a couple of brackets with some rubber isolators and kind of like leave it free floating. That way the top of it's right here, and I can build just like a little box for it out of sheet metal. So that way I have like some kind of firewall or whatever, and then you just open it with a lid, undo the cap, put your fuel nozzle in, fuel up, done. The feed line will go through this grommet, and the return line will go through this grommet. And then I'll run either a puke tank or a vent tank or vent hose from the top of the tank over, and I think I'm gonna figure out a way to run it through the old antenna hole. So I'm gonna do a little mock-up of the gas tank so you can see what I'm talking about. Because this would be like idea number 1 that I came up with. It'd be like right there. So then these tabs will sink in, and it'll bring the tank like closer that way, and it'll kind of be like free floating, you know what I'm saying? So I could do that. I could cut a hole here and mount it underneath the car, and I don't want to cut unless I'm mini tubbing, because if I do mini tub to get bigger rear end back here, I'd like to make sure that this stays the way it is. Second idea was to mount it just like this. Something like that, to where like the sump was sticking straight out like that, and the tank was there or whatnot. And I only noticed one problem with that. And if I close the hatch, the glass comes real close to hitting, and I don't want to do that. Plus, I would have to build a really large firewall around this thing. So option 2 is out. Option 3 of mounting underneath is out, which I don't like. And then the other option was to cut the entire tub out. I'm gonna call this the tub, because that's what it looks like. I could cut all this, the whole thing out, right? And then I could mount from underneath. I could mount the tank right underneath there. Like it would literally be underneath here. Like the top of this would be down there. I think I would rather do option A first and see if I like it. If not, then I'll probably just cut the sunroof tub out anyway, because that's 9 pounds of metal that can go away. By the way, the windshield weighs 96 pounds or 98 pounds. That was a lot of weight. And this is 76 pounds, the rear hatch glass. So that could go too. In order to make the holes for these brackets to go slide in there, I'm gonna go ahead and just, I'm not gonna chain drill all the way across, but I'm gonna make one hole here and then use a body saw to cut the notch out. Same thing here, one hole here, body saw to cut the notch out. I mean, you could chain drill all the way across and then grind the hole smooth, but it'd be just smarter just to make a quick cut. So now after I've got that vacuumed up, I can actually work in cleanliness, which is cool. So this is what it would look like. It would be that right there. And I've got body putty all up against this, so I don't have to worry too much about it rubbing. I mean, I could space it out a little bit, like, see if I can wiggle it. Yeah, tight fit. I could do it like that right there, and it won't be touching. So I'll have to just make my brackets from here to here. And now that I'm looking at the distance, it's a pretty big gap between here and here. I don't know if you can see that. That's a pretty big gap. I don't know if my brackets will work for that. Let me come up with another solution to hold this thing up. Yeah, just for now. Let me go get a bracket. So I just got some hardware brackets from the hardware store, because that's all they use anyway. And it may be too short. Yeah, they're too short. Dang. Well, I'll have to get some bigger brackets to continue this project, because I've got, yeah, it's just not big enough. They're not long enough. If I do them like that, maybe, but yeah, need longer brackets, maybe like an inch longer. So I have to pause on this for now. What else is there to do? Always got to make some kind of progress somehow. Let's take a look. Well, I suppose what needs to be done in the meantime is to get rid of all of this, because this urethane, it serves no purpose. It needs to be, the window frame needs to be all cleaned up real well and prepped for rust converter or paint or whatever this is. It's a little flash rust, but definitely needs to be taken care of. So oh yeah, that's gonna come off. Yep, there it is. Yeah, let me work on this. Not a fun job. I mean, I got all the urethane off and whatnot, but I'll never be a glass guy. I can tell you right now that there are some spots where there was some moisture trapped whenever the windshield was done, so you can see a little bit like residue there where it's starting to corrode a little bit. You see that little white powder there? That right there is a trap pocket from 20-something years ago when they put the windshield in when it was replaced. So fast windshield jobs, you can't trust them. So what you can't see that you have to worry about. I do have some of the soft glue butyl stuff or whatever it's called that's right here. It's not the body putty, but it's on top of that. I'm gonna get some kind of chemical, run to the store and use something to remove that, because there is a lot of body putty that's right here that's sealing this joint between the A-pillar and the firewall. So I do want to go ahead and get this cleaned up most non-invasive way possible. The rust converter's got to take place up here. I've got some of that somewhere in one of these bags here. And then I have to prime all the spots where the paint's missing. That way we don't have any more corrosion. And then probably take this dash out, so that way I can get a good idea of what's going on underneath here. Make sure you like the video, hit the subscribe button. Till then, we'll see you next time.